is doing this job similar to being a COO at any other company?
Yeah, I think the principles are largely similar. You know, we try to focus as much as possible on our customers. I mean, we really are, if you think about it, in the retail business. We have 3 million plus people a year coming through our gates that we need to make sure that the ballpark is clean, the experience is great. We have to take care of our corporate sponsors, our broadcast advertisers, our concessionaire. We'd spend a lot of time making sure the food offerings, beverage offerings are right. So it's really a retail business in many ways. Of course, we have to have a commitment to fielding a competitive team out there. The product is ultimately what our fans care about. So spend a lot of time in the off season working on our budgets to make sure that Ben Sherrington and his team have the proper amount of resources to do just that.
So is the record that the team has almost the stock measure or your indice of how, what you can charge for sponsorships and for tickets and for everything else? I mean, is that kind of the gauge of everything else? Is it that simple?
It's a great question. We actually try and focus on making sure that the win-loss record does not drive those prices or sort of what we're charging. We try to really focus on market conditions in terms of the general economy, what our competition in Boston are charging, because you're going to have years when you go to the World Series or make it to the playoffs, and then you're going to have years like last year where we're completely disappointed by what happens on the field. We have a responsibility first and foremost to make sure that we are in tune with what's going on in the larger economy. We have had to take some steps to address that. Probably the biggest thing that we've done over the last 5 years is try to arrest the growth on our ticket prices, our season ticket prices, individual game prices, and we've frozen prices. We've kept them flat 3 out of the last 5 years. We've had a history of raising prices here year in and year out, but starting back in 2008, we took that step because it's really important, and we did the same with concessions. And interestingly, the certain sectors of business have not been impacted as much in the sponsorship side of our business. So we have been able to make up sort of the lost revenue in those categories. But again, our job is to generate as much revenue as possible that can be reinvested into 2 areas: player payroll and Fenway Park. We've invested millions and millions of dollars to preserve and protect Fenway. So it's not a normal business where you have a really high payroll and you've got high operating costs of your ballpark. And so this ownership group has decided to reinvest all of those revenues into those 2 areas.
Let's back up a little bit to the sponsorships, because I guess too you're also worried about the success of those industries. I mean, certainly if your biggest sponsor happens to be in telecommunications or food service or what have you, I mean, are you watching those? Is that a concern? Do they come to you and say, geez, Sam, I can't afford it this year, or does that happen?
Absolutely. It happens, and especially over the last 4 or 5 years with the uncertain climate that we've had in the market. So, yeah, we're, in a way, our sponsorship business is like a diversified stock portfolio. We have major partnerships with blue chip companies like Bank of America and Budweiser and Coca-Cola, some smaller businesses like Old Dominion Trucking. We've got local companies that sponsor us like Giant Glass. And so it really runs the gamut in terms of big blue chip companies and smaller local companies, and all of them are not going to have record years each and every year. So we do have to be flexible. If companies are on hard times, we take that into consideration, and we've had to rework, sort of structure agreements differently to accommodate different folks' needs. But we've been very, very fortunate. Companies in New England have supported the Red Sox for a long time, over the last 11 years since we've been here, and that really helps fuel our operation.
If you want to put it in business terms, let's say that we manufacture 3 products. Product 1, baseball. What goes on between the lines? Ben Charrington's in charge of that. We don't interfere. We support whatever he does. Product 2, the venue. Regardless of whether there's baseball being played here or not, Fenway Park is a venue unto itself. Product 3 is the fan experience in the ballpark and in the community. Because regardless of who the team is, regardless of whether they play in Fenway Park or La Leche Field or a Sandlot, families looking for a night out, an afternoon out, a diversion, a young couple on a date, they look for a place to go where they can relax, where they can have the perhaps deteriorating art of conversation. And a ballpark gives you that. So when your ball club is doing well, and your venue is sparkling, and your fan experience is warm and comfortable and hospitable, then you got all three clicking. And what we have found with all our franchises is when all three products are going, you have a phenomenon. The sellouts that we've had at Fenway Park are actually not new for clubs that Larry Lucchino has run. We had that in Baltimore when the team was good, Camden Yards was new, and you welcomed the fans. We went out to San Diego and changed the culture there. So the fan experience is an essential ingredient, but it doesn't take the place of baseball or your ballpark. You've got to have all three going.
Boy, what an opening day this has been so far. I'm having so much fun, and believe it or not, we haven't even thrown out a first pitch. So we're going to wrap up some of the morning activities, and then I'm going to try to make my way over to the Green Monster, and we're going to find our good friend Chris Elias, who's in there, and he can give us a sneak peek behind one of the most amazing curtains here in the New England area. We'll let Oz take us behind the curtain in the Green Monster. So if I can just find it, I'm going to, I think it's this way.